so guess what? We are here on another service video. So welcome back to another episode of the scootabout.com. I'm servicing and maintaining your Vespa. This time we're again doing a service and maintaining to my GTV, the 250, and I'm already almost hitting 24,000. So that's quite a lot. Like, I've been doing service to this thing like so often that I feel that I'm servicing a Chinese scooter. Let's proceed and show you all the things that we're gonna be doing on this video. This is gonna be a whole different service video than the last one that I did, because this is gonna be the 24K service video where I'm gonna be also changing the whole water pump system. I don't have all the water pump part here with me right now because I'm still waiting for a few of those, like the hoses and the actual pump, the water pump itself. I'm also gonna be buying the whole new cover because I want to make two separate videos, and I also want to put a new cover on this thing because this one is already like looking really bad. So I'm gonna be going a little more than I have to, as always, because I like to keep my scooter as its best shape, you know, and also try to always make it a little better than it is already. I'm gonna be changing this time also bearings. I'm gonna change the bearings from the rear wheel here in the bracket. That one is already like going out, like I can feel it, I can hear it, I can see it. It's really bad. As you already know, all the part numbers and all the links for the products and the special tools, they're gonna be all linked down below in the description, so make sure you check those out before you get your hands into it. The first thing that we're gonna do, of course, is gonna be the oil change. As you can see here, I got a lot of MotoVlog products, and that's because I'm gonna be changing all my fluids on the bike for MotoVlog. We're gonna proceed and give it a shot. As you can see, we got two types of oil from MotoVlog here. I want to show you these two different models from this brand because there's a lot of controversial about what oil you should use for your Vespa. So of course, if you read in the manual, the type of oil that the manufacturer recommend is the one that I'm showing right now on the screen, which have all the additive and all the minerals and chemistry what they recommend for these scooters. That's what most people use on Vespas, you know, the Egypt brand, which is the one that Piaggio recommend, of course. But I want to give it a shot to the MotoVlog because a lot of people here in the United States is a big fan of MotoVlog. This is a like really good brand. They have a really good reputation and it's one of the best oils out there. I got here the 300B 5W40, which is 100% full synthetic oil, and a lot of people have used this on their Vespas. Like, I have read in forums and stuff, people discussing stuff about this oil. I also got here another MotoVlog oil, which is a 540, but it is made specifically for scooters. My friend Jaman on Cycle Pro Shop, the mechanic, he's the official retailer for this brand. He have gone like to seminaries and stuff. He really recommended me about this, and I asked him about using this oil on my scooter. When I asked him, hey, what do you think about using this 5W40 300B on my scooter, he said, like, don't you even try to put that oil on your scooter because that's like a suicide bomb. I'm not the one saying this. He's not the one telling me, like, by his own knowledge and his own experience, do not use this oil on the Vespa, but it's because he contacted the actual Moto people and he asked him what's the actual difference about this specific 300B oil, and they told them that this oil is made specifically for the track. It's only made for one day in the track for 150-300 miles at the max. You shouldn't go more than 300 miles using this oil on your bike. This is only like for a track day, so you get the most performance out of the engine without making a big damage. So this is like only made for racing. This is not like made for scooters, because the way the engines work for this oil, what this oil is made for, those motorcycles are the ones that have like wet clutch and stuff. So this is made specifically for wet clutch. This scooters doesn't have a wet clutch. It's a complete different additive for this type of scooter. Don't you even try to use this one on your scooter. So I'm gonna take this out of the screen. I just have it here with me so I can show you with detail which exactly you should not use for your scooter. So they made a specific oil for scooters, and this is the one that you should use for your Vespa. This is a 1 liter scooter power 4-stroke 5W40, 100% full synthetic, and it meets all the requirements from the manufacturer. So I'm gonna give it a shot. I got 3 bottles here, just in case. I think you can actually go with 2 and you should be okay with it, but I went with 3 just to be in case and have some top off my oil since I'm putting a lot of miles. I also have here the Polini filter that I'm gonna be installing to change the oil. I also have this new brake pad for my rear caliper. I'm gonna be trying this new brand. I haven't tried this one out, the Galfers semi-metal. These things actually smell like really bad. I don't know, I never tried like semi-metal pad. I have always used carbon ceramic. I don't know how long these are gonna last and how well these things are gonna perform. We got also here nuts, screws, clippers. I'm also gonna be replacing the nut from my exhaust, are the copper ones. I got also the new screws for the thermostat cover. Got all the O-rings for the cylinder head to do the valve adjustment. I got also a new gearbox oil drain plug from Grand Sports, which it has like a magnetic end, and with a new copper washer because I have reused mine like twice already. I also got here the bearing for the CVT cover for the axle on the other side. I'm gonna be also replacing that one. Just take advantage. I'm gonna be replacing replacing those two bearings. Those are usually tend to wear out around like 30,000 miles. I got also here a new thermostat. Mine is not bad, but since I'm gonna be replacing the whole water pump system with new coolant and everything, I just want to make sure and have a brand new one, because these are 2008, got already too many years, and I don't want to wait to fail to change it. Here we got some high performance silicone sealant. We got all the O-rings necessary for that. We got the SIP. This is the thermostat cover. This is actually a pretty nice one because this is a CNC machine made. It's not like the plastic one that we have from the OEM one, which this is actually like 50 bucks. This is like cheaper than the OEM one, and the OEM one is plastic, and in my opinion, it just sucks. You know, once you tie that screw down just once and you just break the inside, and it's gonna start leaking, and it's a pain in the butt. Highly recommend you to replace it with a CNC machine one. There's a lot of brands and people making this same type of CNC machine design, but I went ahead and bought the SIP. They sell at a really good price. Gonna give that a shot and see how it goes. As you can see, we also got here some propane. Install the bearings just to like warm up the aluminum a little bit so everything goes more smoothly. I got also a couple of bottles of brake cleaner or CVT cover. They're gonna be also replacing the belt, the rollers, sliders, everything. I got also here the MotoVlog scooter gear oil, the 80W90. I'm gonna be also replacing my gear oil. I haven't replaced that one in probably like 10,000 miles. I'm not 100% sure when exactly you should replace that one, how often, but those things last pretty long, so I'm not really worried about that. I'm sure mine still have a little plenty of life, but I just wanna replace everything for MotoVlog and have nice and high quality liquids. I got also here the gaskets for the cylinder head for the valve adjustment. I'm gonna be replacing all those gaskets, the one with from the screws and everything, you will see in a second. And this is also the gasket for the water pump, and I got also the OEM belt ready to go. I'm gonna start with the oil change. That should be, I'm not gonna go in detail with the oil change, because if you're getting into this point of service, you should have done already quite a few oil change, and that's not like necessary to go in detail. I have quite a few videos doing oil change. I'm gonna link them down below for you to watch them if you haven't done that before. So let's start with the oil change and let's get into it. Like, even if this oil is better for your scooter, I will just get this and pay more just because of the fact of how this thing works. Pull this out, you pull that nozzle on. You don't even have to use a funnel, man. That's amazing. See how the system works? You remove the little cap. Like, I have never seen something like this. You tip it over like this, where you want to go, and boom, start filling up your oil. Thanks MotoVlog for making our life easier, man. That's amazing. Like, I have never seen any oil brand that makes so much easier to pour the fluids into the pipe. Like, it's just amazing. Both with the gear oil and the scooter oil, man, they're made for this, you know. Alright, so now I'm gonna proceed and change my belt. I'm gonna service my Maxi High Speed Polini Barriero. I got here the night roller of 9.2 grams, brand new. This one has already probably like 7,000 miles. I highly recommend to change the OEM rollers every 3,000 miles. I have tested this out up to like 9,000 miles, and they seem to hold pretty well, and they doesn't seem to wear and tear as fast as the OEM one. I don't know the exact reason why they have to be replaced that fast, because with this one I don't see that as many flat spots as I see on the OEM one. I don't know, I'll just make some research about that to see how often you should really replace your rollers, because 3,000 miles I think is actually pretty quick for, you know, good quality roller. I'm gonna be also replacing the grease as I showed in the last video. Every time you gotta service the max height Polini Variero with an eye roller that has some grease, you need to service the whole thing. Apart from changing the belt, I'm gonna be also replacing the bearing from the rear wheel bracket and also the one here from the CVT cover for the clutch. That's the little one here, brand new. Of course, we got the Polini slider, goes also with the Variero. We got some brake cleaner, and I got a torch here, a propane torch, so we can heat up this cover so we can, you know, remove the bearing and install the new one more easily. Let's get into it. Alright, so I think it's a good time to change our swim arm bearing because we're already hitting 25,000 miles on this bike, and I think it's actually a really good time to change this bearing before it gets shocked and lock our wheel off. This is a radial bearing for the swim arm. All Vespas comes with one, pretty much a bearing that goes in the swim arm where it holds the exhaust, and that bearing, since it's a sealed bearing and it's exposed here right next to the wheel and the exhaust, it tends to go bad pretty often because it gets a lot of dirt, and it's always good to replace it before it gets locked up and, you know, get yourself stuck on the road. So we're gonna proceed and change that. That's gonna be a pretty simple process. It seems complicated because it might require some special tool to remove the bearings itself from the cavity, but of course there are many ways to do it at home with basic tools. We're gonna proceed and do it with basic tool, with sockets and stuff and hammers. We're not gonna be, you know, using any of the special tools on these videos. This is a pretty simple process where you have to heat up the aluminum. It expands a little bit and it makes the work a lot more easier. There are many ways on how you can heat up the aluminum. You can even put it inside the oven on your keychain, or if you have a torch, or if you have a heat gun, or there are many ways to heat up a metal. You just find your best one at home. I got a torch here in my case, which is pretty cheap. You can get a torch for less than 20 bucks. My bike right now is pretty dirty. I mean, this is a thing that you can like diagnostic just by hearing. There are like special tools that you can use to determine if a bearing is going bad or not, but as you can hear, this one is going pretty bad. When you spin the wheel, you hear that metal noise, you know, rubbing one to each other. That's pretty much the bearing already dry and dirty in the inside. And if your bearings are making this noise, please take care of that because they're pretty much going bad, and if you leave them like that for a long period of time, you're gonna pretty much lock up your wheel, experience a lot more problems than just going through these easy replacements. So I highly suggest you to replace the bearings when you think it's a good time. Every time that I remove the wheel, I check the bearing as well. When I service my CVT cover, I check the one on the CVT cover, and they always seems to be really nice and smooth. But once you start to feel a little bit of play, or you can start to hear or feel some vibration inside the bearing, I highly suggest to replace it right away. So let's get into it. Sometimes I apply a little bit of grease. I remove the seal. Every time that I service my wheel, every time I change my tire, I have removed the seal in the inside and I have applied a little bit of new grease and, you know, clean it up, and it becomes a little better than before. Used to like ride some extra miles while I was waiting for the new one. That one is already going bad, as you can see. Got the new one right here, original from Piaggio. So let's get into it. Sometimes this bracket can get like really stuck. If you have one of those GTS, the old ones like I have, this is from 2008, and if you have never removed the swim arm or it's been there for a long time, this is probably gonna get stuck into the axle, and you will have to use an extractor tool, or you will have to hammer the axle for a little while so you can just break that corrosion in the inside and you can pull it out. That happened to me the first time when I removed the wheel from this Vespa, because the last owners, the only owners of this bike, they bought it back in 2008 and they only used it like for 4,000 miles and they never did a service to it or anything. And I bought it back in 2018, 19 or something like that. So it was sitting in a garage for a long period of time, and this got like really sealed in there, you know, like it got really stuck in there. So when I proceeded and bought the scooter and I was gonna change the tire for the first time, it was literally impossible to get this bracket out of the way. I found a way that by hammering the axle a lot, in my case, because it was really stuck, I was able to remove the bracket itself from the axle. You can click up there and watch that video. It was one of my first videos, so please I apologize for all the bad editing and the bad talking and everything. But that was one of my first videos, and that was one of the first problems that I faced when I started working with my GTV. And since then I started applying a little bit of anti-seize there, and it's not a problem anymore to remove. But as you can see, that bearing, man, is really bad. You can see how I have plate, and you can hear it pretty badly. So I'm gonna proceed and remove this bearing out of the cavity when I install the new one. But to be able to do that, I'm gonna heat up this a little bit. I'm gonna get a socket of this size exactly, and then a bigger one to install the new one. Let's proceed and clean this grease a little bit so we can start heating that up, get it ready to hammer it out. Okay, so once we have removed the bracket, I'll recommend getting some pieces of wood so we can work more comfortably with the bracket, because some brackets have like a really weird shape and it's really hard to get a flat surface to work on it. Every time that I replace my rear wheel, and I have the advantage of having this out of the way, I was able to remove the seal here from the inside. Just get something pretty thin, like a flat screwdriver or something. I don't give a since I'm replacing it, but every time I was able to get that out, I take out the seal like that, and I spray some brake cleaner all around the bearings in the inside, and I try to fit that up with new grease, and it's been like that since I bought the scooter, and I haven't had any issue. I even went a little farther than you should have to, trusting those bearings. Right now we got the new one. Let's heat that up and remove the old one, and we're gonna be doing that from here, from the back. Okay, so we're gonna proceed and heat that up with the torch, get it ready to hammer it out. I'm gonna be using, I'm gonna find a big socket, and this is the biggest one I have here. As you can see, we removed the bearing as easy as that. This is actually really warm. That's a good thing of heating this up. I'm gonna proceed and give a nice clean here in the inside, because we have a little corrosion there, as you can see. Look at that mud in there, man. As you can see, the new one is completely smooth. You don't hear anything or feel anything. It's completely nice and new. I already proceed and clean this up. As you can see, the cavity inside is really nice and clean. I'm more than ready to start heating this up again, so we can get it nice and warm and ready to hammer that in with the big socket. You can see I'm gonna be hammering with the 46 with the rear end, because that's what I have available here at home. So you can use any other socket, anything that fit perfectly into the bearing, you know, right in the edge. So make sure you find something that, you know, sits right in place and not like on the seal, because if not, you're gonna hammer the seal like this and you're probably gonna mess up the whole thing. So see, I start heating this up and get it ready to install. Well, the warmer it gets, the better. Accelerate everything here. I'll show you and burn yourself. You're gonna proceed and apply a little bit of oil around the bearing, just to help, you know, slide that in perfectly so you don't burn your hand. Proceed and lighten that up as best as we can. Now we're more than ready to hammer that down. Alright, so we got swapped in the new bearing inside. As you can see, it's nice and new. Look how smooth that is. You don't even hear anything in compared with the other one. I smashed the seal here a little bit, but nothing to worry about. If you do smash your seal in this part right here, you can take it out and put it like in a flat surface and hammer it down so it gets flats again, because it's like a metal paper thin. So you gotta be like really careful you don't touch the seal, because not you're gonna mess up the whole new bearings. But we successfully installed it in. It was actually very straightforward. This bearing is actually made in France, man. Nice. SKA. Those are really high quality bearings. This thing was like 30 bucks. There are some cheaper versions that you can go with, but I like to go with the OEM parts that Piaggio recommends. We're gonna proceed and install everything back in. Highly suggest you put some anti-seeds hitting the bearing the inside and here in the axle so it doesn't get stuck anymore. Proceed and clean that up a little bit from the old one. And that's it. Once you apply your anti-seize there, you're more than ready to start installing everything back in. And make sure you torque your wheel and everything with the right torque specification at the manual, and we should be good to go. Alright, so as you can see, that was actually pretty straightforward, pretty simple job to do, as long as you have the right tools and the right parts to do the job. And as you can see, it's now a lot more quiet. The noise that you're still hearing is from the actual brake disc and the pads, you know, rubbing against each other. But as you can see, it's way nicer right now. It's way smoother because we got that new bearing in the swing arm. So I finally got everything that I need to rebuild my complete water pump system, and from the thermostat to the thermostat cover, the bleeding screw that I messed up the first time that I did it. I'm gonna be replacing the whole water pump with the cover. I'm probably gonna do a separate video on how to rebuild it, because you can just rebuild the inner parts. You can get all the parts, all the bearings and the oil seal, so you can rebuild it, or you can just get a whole new brand cover like I'm gonna do in my case, because this one is already looking really ugly. I have not been able to get rid of all that steam and all those oil marks. Since I want to make it look like really nice and with the new hoses and everything, I finally was able to find the red hoses, man. That's been like an impossible to find, and I got them from BGM Supercharge, what they call here, BGM Pro Supercharge. And I actually got the water pump cover as well, and I got literally everything to be able to replace and rebuild my whole water pump system. So as you can see, I got all the parts here. I got a really high quality clamps made from Samco. I was trying to get the Samco hoses, but then I figured out that if you want to get the red hoses or any other color, there are two brands that sell these kind of hoses for Vespa, the BGM and the Samco. But if you go with the Samco ones, you're only gonna get the hose from here to the bottom. There's two big ones and there is like a smaller one here behind that you don't really see. But if you go with the B&G, they actually include the one that goes with the thermostat cover that is on top of the engine. So I think this is actually a better option if you are looking to replace more in the static part. If you want to change the color of the hoses, that one on top of the engine is gonna look really nice, racing style and all. And these two as well. They don't include the little one behind because you don't really see it, and hopefully it's in good condition still, because I really wanted to replace my hoses because I got like a big crack here and it's been leaking. My water pump is already at 31,000 miles. It haven't shown any signs of going out at all. It's not leaking or anything. I don't hear any noise or anything. It's just been leaking through here, through the hose and those cracks, and sometimes here in the bottom when I ride it for too long. And I think it's just like the O-ring that is just going out the last time that I did it. So I'm gonna take advantage and I'm gonna do everything on it. So as you can see, I got the CNC water pump cover from SIP Performance. This is a really well made thermostat cover. The original from Piaggio is a plastic one, and I have seen those crack here on the top with time. If you screw the bleeding screw too hard, it's gonna mess it up and it's gonna start leaking, so you have to like do a like quick fix. Like I did a video about that a while ago. It's really good if you get the CNC cover one. So as you can see, I got a new thermostat. I got the bleeding screw brand new with all the O-rings. I got new screws for the cover, everything. You actually will need a high temperature silicone sealant to replace here the cables when you install the new cover. And as you can see, look at this baby, it's completely brand new, man. This thing is kind of expensive. I think I paid 200 bucks in Scooter West for this one. They have it available, couldn't find it anywhere else. And I also got the B&G Pro Supercharge water pump cover, and as you can see, look at that beauty, man. Really well made. Oh, look at that beauty. Really well built, seems really high quality. And this one even have like a drain plug here in the bottom. Haven't seen any other aftermarket cover with that option, with that feature there, and that's actually really nice. So I'm gonna try this one out. This one was a little bit cheaper than the Cilioni. The Cilioni is actually, I think it's kind of overpriced. You know, paying 170, 180 bucks for this cover. Ah man, it's too hard to do. It's really nice because it comes with the O-ring already. But I already got one myself just in case. So I'm probably gonna be using the one that I already got. Got all the little O-rings to put on the bleeding screw. This one as well for the water pump cover. I got the rubber cap for the bleeding screw as well. Of course, you will need the main gasket for the water pump cover. It's really important. You need to get a new one because the old one is not reusable. Also got that, all the brand new screws. And as you can see, I got the engine ice coolant made here in the United States. I'm gonna be testing this out on the Vespa. I have seen a lot of people using this lately on the Vespas, and it seems to be really well. And I'm actually really curious, since it's gonna get really hot here in Florida pretty soon in summer. This actually is gonna help out a lot to keep the engine cool. So I'm gonna give those a shot. I haven't done a coolant flush on my bike like about maybe almost 2 years. I did it when it had 9,000 miles and it's already at 31. So I think it's actually a great time to do a good flush. I got the still water so we can clean up the system really well after we drain the old coolant. And I got the hoses. As you can see, look at these babies. It's really nice because this company includes all the clamps, but these clamps are actually not really high quality as the Senko ones because they have all the thread here in the inside. The Senko branded are completely smooth in the inside and they seems to be a little stronger, and this was kind of expensive for that. I think it paid like 20-30 bucks for these kilo clamps. Here are the nice hoses, B&G branded, but they're actually the same quality as the Senko ones. They only changed the logo pretty much. They are exactly the same quality. So this is the one that goes here, this is the one that goes on the top, this one is the one that goes on top of the engine with the thermostat cover. So that's gonna go there on top of the engine. It's gonna look really nice. So this is the boring part of doing the hose replacement. So you can get away if your pump is going out, you can just replace the pump without, you know, doing all this, without replacing any hoses. If your hoses are still in good condition, these things last a long time. I think they last the life of the bike. You know, you don't need to replace them all the time. So mine got a crack here because I got like a bracket here where I put my LEDs in a while back, and also from the crash bar it started rubbing there and it made like a little hole on it. So I guess it's a good time to replace it and make it look nice. So I'm gonna start by disassembling the bike. I'm not sure if I want to take the glove box off the bike at all, so I'm gonna try to get access to the hose from the floor mat. So I'm gonna actually start by flushing the coolant so I can disconnect the hoses and everything, and once I have done that, I'm gonna replace the hoses. And once I have the new hoses installed in place, I'm gonna drop the engine. At that point, I'm also gonna take advantage and do my valve adjustment, get all the new gasket, replace my spark plug and everything. So let's start flushing the bike and see how it goes. Let's get into it. Oh well, it's been actually a few months since I did the whole water pump rebuild with the new hoses and the new water pump and everything. It was pretty straightforward. It wasn't not too complicated as I was expecting to, because since I just replaced the entire cover, I didn't have to do anything with the oil seals and, you know, rebuilding the water pump itself. So that was kind of easy, you know, if you get the whole cover instead of just swapping the parts. So, but if you want to go cheaper, you can, you know, replace just the parts, the inner parts of the water pump, and it will be a lot more cheaper than if you buy the whole cover, you know. The hoses are being like amazing. I love the look of it. I really like everything about it. So look at this cup here waiting for someone. Thankfully I have my Atlas enabled, so I can avoid getting in trouble with the cops. Keeping up the limit speed so I don't get caught by the cops. That's why I love using my Atlas. See? Helping me keep up the speed pretty nicely. But look at that wobbling, look at that wobbling. Ah man, how I hate it. I have to find a solution for that. Anyways, it was a really easy installation at the end of the day, because I didn't have to disassemble the whole, you know, glove box and floor and everything. So I was able to get my hands through the little holes, you know, opening gap from the floor. It was straightforward. It was not like, it took me maybe like an hour or so, you know, to run all the hoses, remove the old ones, do the water pump flush with the new coolant and everything. And that's actually something that I want to talk about, and it's the engine eyes. I've been using that engine eye since I put it on. It's been probably like 4 or 5 months, like basically the whole summer. And man, I'm really impressed by the performance of that engine eyes, to be honest. I was not expecting it to be that good. The last few summers that I've been with this Vespa, that I've been riding around and anything, every time that I go out for like an hour or something, the fan keeps going on and on and on, you know, to keep the bike cool. But with these engine eyes, that has reduced like a lot. Like my fan is not going on as often as it used to be, and I think it's because of that engine eyes, you know, keeps the temperatures of the engine a lot more cooler than the A-Jeep coolant that comes with the bike, you know, or any other 50 by 50 antifreeze coolant. But the engine eyes been surprising to me. That was just gonna like an update that I wanted to, you know, toggle at the end of this video, just to give you my experience with all the new Moto oils and products and all the new fluids that I've been putting on my bike. So I'm really happy with that. I highly recommend it. I haven't had any issues with it as far as I'm concerned. I don't think there is anything different in the chemical aspects or anything, so it should be a good choice for the Vespa. So I give it my thumbs up. I really recommend it. But well, I'm done with this video. I hope you find it helpful. I hope you enjoy as much as I did doing all this work. So make sure to click that like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more great content, and share with your friends. See you on the next one. Thank you. Peace.